Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I've got 3 stories to share with you in this very latest Moon Lambo hot jam. Including this one. I'll be starting with this. This is the headline from Ripple's blog series titled Ripple Insights. Ripple and Tranglo Singapore's partnership scales to new heights in Asia Pacific. And so, I tell you what, if you think that utility matters and will win the day, which is my entire investment thesis, long term anyway, then you're going to be thrilled with this because, as far as I'm concerned, real world adoption of cryptocurrencies is of the utmost importance, and that is what is required for cryptocurrencies to stick around for the long haul. Also, there was this article from Finance Feeds titled Ripple Investor SBI Chooses Broadridge for Settlement. Now, the reason I wanted to run through this is there's a question from an XRP community member named GT3RS, who tagged me along with a few of my fellow XRP YouTubers. And so I want to say, first of all, GT3RS, thank you very much for tagging me. I do appreciate it. And had a question here. I wrote, is this of any consequence? I found it interesting SBI choosing Broadridge for settlement, ? Holding XRP strong. Yes, indeed. So SBI choosing a separate company for settlement? I can see why there would be a question there. And I have a couple thoughts on this, having read the article twice at this point. So then there's that. And then I'll wrap up the video with this headline from Cointelegraph. Treasury official acknowledges most crypto transactions are legitimate, but still anticipates additional sanctions. Well, hey, you know what? I'll take that because I'm tired of the stupid narrative from people that are just trying to influence people, manipulate how they feel about crypto by stating things that don't make any earthly sense. You know, stating that cryptocurrencies, it's just used for a bunch of nonsense, illegal, nefarious stuff. That narrative I'm rather sick of. But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So here we have, despite the SEC going after Ripple, fantastic news in terms of on-demand liquidity adoption, which of course requires the usage of XRP as a cryptocurrency. And I want to address something here at the outset of the video. So the SEC is claiming that Ripple is a common enterprise and that we as XRP holders are counting on Ripple to find success in order for the price of our XRP to increase. Now, you know, it's not the case. It is not the case. It doesn't mean that what Ripple is doing doesn't matter, but if it's the case that a company is building on top of a decentralized ledger that has a native crypto asset, if it's the case that a company's doing that and that just makes them a common enterprise, we got a serious problem. Because if that's the case, that means that there cannot be any developers building on top of any decentralized blockchain without them effectively, if they're going to sell any of their asset that they hold, without them selling an unregistered security, which means investment contract. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely absurd. The truth of the matter is that we're counting on a healthy XRP ecosystem, right? So Ripple's part of that, though. So why wouldn't I celebrate this as an XRP holder? Why wouldn't I celebrate the adoption of XRP for another use case here? And yeah, I acknowledge that Ripple and their implementation of XRP as a bridge currency is the most famous implementation of XRP, but it's not the only one. There are other use cases I'm counting on persisting, including XRP being used in conjunction with Interledger Protocol, with Coil, to implement a new form of web monetization, which is, by the way, not a science experiment. That's being used every single day. I'm also counting on XRP continuing to be used to move money from exchange to exchange, because understand that investors and traders are using XRP for that because it's on so many platforms and it's so liquid relative to other cryptocurrencies. And that means real world utility. It's not about one entity. But if even having one entity means that that constitutes some sort of an investment contract because you're building out, developing on top of a ledger, then everything is a security. That's why it's so ridiculous. Everything is a security unless you want to have a cryptocurrency world where only those cryptocurrencies for which there is no developer activity, only those ones would not be securities. Do we really want a world where we can't have developers building on top of cryptocurrencies or blockchains with native digital assets, cryptocurrencies? We can't have them build on top without them being declared securities. I don't want to live in that world. That doesn't make any damn sense here. And so as far as this, I wanted to actually start at the bottom of this, just about anyway, because we're talking about a partnership that we've known exists for a little while now between Ripple and Tranglo. So Ripple has an ownership stake, but Tranglo is still a company. Tranglo Group CEO Jackie Lee said the following. I thought I'd just kind of lead in with this. This is a quote. "We have successfully unified local and regional support infrastructure using XRP as the bridging currency. With on-demand liquidity in RippleNet, our partners can look forward to a more seamless payment service. We expect more such collaborations in line with our mission to provide equitable and accessible financial services, especially in Asia Pacific." And that's the quote. So I just want to point this out. There are all sorts of people that don't like Ripple and don't like XRP for stupid reasons, as far as I'm concerned, because it's all ideologically driven. Heavy Bitcoin bags. There's some sort of impurity to XRP because it's being positioned to help the legacy financial system. And never mind that Bitcoin itself is basically the banker's coin, with Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan having found ways to make money off it, and they're all for that. The Bitcoin maxis, they're all for that, because that's more adoption, right? Hypocritical, I know, but that's the stance that they've taken here. But yeah, as far as XRP, anytime you hear these people talk about, XRP, it doesn't make any sense. Stable coins, those make more sense for implementation as a bridge currency, or there's always the new Ripple killer out there. There's always some sort of new platform. It's going to destroy Ripple's business model. We don't need this. Well, here's the deal. On-demand liquidity utilizing XRP, it's growing. And these customers that Ripple has, and the customer base continues to grow, they disagree with the people that don't know anything about the inner workings of these relationships or why these businesses are choosing on-demand liquidity. These haters, they're wrong. The customers, like the real-world activity, it just speaks for itself. If this weren't a better solution, then these companies, which are major corporations in many cases, they wouldn't be using XRP as a bridge currency. They flat out would not do it. They're doing it because it makes sense for them. So let the success speak for itself here. And then the piece reads as follows. "Today, we're excited to share new milestones in our partnership with Tranglo. Following our intent to acquire a 40% stake in Asia's leading cross-border payment specialist in March 2021 to scale the footprint of RippleNet, Ripple's global financial network, in the region and beyond. The partnership has demonstrated significant momentum within 6 months, with Tranglo launching its first live on-demand liquidity service on RippleNet in the Philippines, and with plans to introduce more corridors in the months to come." So let me just pause to highlight the degree to which that is true. This is the official Tranglo Twitter account, and they tweeted out the following. "In just 6 months, Tranglo has successfully unified the often fragmented payment landscape in Asia Pacific through RippleNet and on-demand liquidity." And so again, just goes back to what I was saying a minute ago. Tranglo would not be doing this if it weren't a better solution for their company, meaning ultimately that it's benefiting the end user, their customers. Of course, that's why. XRP is solving a real-world problem. Anybody that disagrees or says something else is going to take down the business model, argue with Ripple's customers because they disagree with you. That's what I would say. Anyway, so then this write-up here continues. "The Philippines is Asia's third largest remittance receiving country, where funds sent home from Filipino overseas foreign workers are an economic lifeline. On-demand liquidity leverages the digital asset XRP for instant and low-cost cross-border payments, eliminating the need for costly pre-funded accounts." Look, XRP is not going away. As long as it's solving real problems for real people, it's here to stay. And even without Ripple, even if Ripple goes away, XRP persists. People are still using it for other stuff. Ripple is just part of the XRP ecosystem. That's it. And then, so let's jump into the next piece now. This is the one that GT3RS shared. Seemed to have a little bit of concern about this settlement portion. So I do have a couple thoughts on this. So this piece is titled, "Ripple Investor SBI Chooses Broadridge for Settlement." SBI Securities has expanded its business relationship with Broadridge Financial Solutions to enhance services to its clients and further automate operations across business lines. The brokerage firm is one of Japan's largest online securities companies and a subsidiary of SBI Holdings, an early ally and investor in Ripple Labs. So please note that there. This is all part of the same company, and that might be something that some people are missing here. But you're talking about SBI Securities. That's one party. You're talking about brokerage for Broadridge, and then you're talking about SBI Holdings. Effectively, it's all part of the same company, and so part of the company that wasn't working with the other part of the company is now that they're working together. That is what they're getting at here. And then they state Ripple has recently gone live with its on-demand liquidity in Japan in collaboration with SBI Remit. This means that RippleNet customers can leverage the digital asset XRP to eliminate pre-funding and reduce operational costs, unlocking capital and fuel the expansion of their payments business. But then they cite a little bit further. I'm going to get to the meat of this where I think the concern comes in, which is right around here. Under the new partnership, SBI Securities will migrate the post-trade operations of its Hong Kong and Singapore businesses to Broadridge's cloud-based ASP service in Asia and add new service to automate confirmation and statement output to clients. SBI Securities will also leverage Broadridge's Swift Service Bureau to automate Swift messaging workflows globally directly with its custodian, enabling them to outsource the whole post-trade processing value chain to Broadridge. And I don't really need to read the rest of the article to make the point that I need to make on this, because I read this thing, and here's the deal. This has nothing to do with XRP utility or lack thereof. This settlement right here. There isn't enough information in the article to come to an understanding about how settlement occurs in a real-world example with these companies, which is all part of the same company anyway. But in some capacity, Swift is utilized. And if Swift is utilized, then we know pre-funded accounts are required for the settlement portion of this, which is exactly what XRP is being positioned to fix. So look, it's not surprising that Swift is currently being used for the entire payment and settlement process, since there aren't a ton of on-demand liquidity corridors open for business anyway. In most parts of the world, there is no other reasonable alternative in October 2021 as I record this. There just isn't. So again, this article is written in such a way that we don't understand the inner workings of what an example flow might look like as in terms of payment and settlement. But suffice it to say, it's with Swift. This is not surprising that you'd find the conclusion of a transaction being settled with Swift. This is not groundbreaking news. So that's good. So anyway, it's a great thing to bring up. So GT3RS, thank you for bringing it to my attention. I might have missed this article without you, and certainly worth bringing to everyone's attention here. But no, there's no indication of in this article whatsoever that there's any sort of concern right now. And the only solution to pre-funding of accounts that humans have devised at this point in time, it requires the usage of a decentralized cryptocurrency that has an open market price and is technologically sufficient to reduce friction in the corridors where it's utilized. And the only cryptocurrency that's being positioned for that use case is XRP. There's one on the entire planet being positioned for this, and it's actually functionally used in enterprise-grade software today. Out of roughly 12,000 cryptocurrencies on the planet, there's just one. So I could not be more optimistic for the long-term viability and in terms of whatever they're going in here. I don't know how the guts of this work. And sometimes people read articles like this and they'll be like, I don't get it. Am I stupid? No, you're not stupid. They don't tell you what it means. And in fact, a lot of the times when people write articles like this, I just wonder if the authors, if I could sit down and ask the author, what does this mean? They'd just be like, I don't know. If they're being truthful, I think the answer would be, I don't know. Because what they're doing is they're taking a bunch of information that may be publicly stated by the companies that issue this, as it could just come from a press release, and it doesn't give specifics as to how the flow of this actually works. And then you can imagine the crypto author here being like, well, I got to cover this, and then they're just regurgitating what comes from the press release, but it is not clear what it means. I encounter this all the damn time, and so I'm just sitting here I know that it's not me missing something. They're just not telling you the specifics here. But when you're new to crypto and you read this, it's so easy for you to come across an article like this and be like, I just read that and I don't know what it means. Well, frequently, honestly, this is the dirty little secret. It's not you. It's not because you're even new to crypto necessarily. It's because it's a bunch of gobbledygook. It's sentences where without additional information and context, there's no way you'd know what it means. But that's why in watching for this, how did I come to the conclusion I came to? Well, because they're utilizing Swift and they're talking about settlement. There's nothing about anything that would be taking on XRP, and the only other way to facilitate settlement requires pre-funding of accounts. So that's how I know. But the rest of it, you can read through it. It's just like, yeah, that's a bunch of foreign gibberish. I'm just being real with you guys. Like, I read it a couple times, like, yeah, this is like your typical crypto article that like doesn't explain a damn thing. And then we're supposed to like assume that the author knows what the hell all this stuff means that they wrote. I'm just shooting it straight, guys. I'm just saying. All right, take a look at this tweet from my fellow XRP YouTuber, Crypto Eddie. Next time a brainy regulator or politician gives you that line about illegal activities with Bitcoin, please point them to the number of only 1% being linked to criminality according to the reliable source Elliptic. Then ask them, what would that percent be in fiat? And here you go. Here's the screen grab that she shared. This is from Elliptic. It's looking beautiful. So in the early days, you can see that, yeah, there was a lot of criminality and cryptocurrencies heavily being used for nefarious things. By the way, that was the case with the internet in the earliest of days as well. It doesn't mean that we should have thrown away the internet, right? If that happened, imagine a world without Moon Lambo hot jams. If there were no internet, that would be a travesty. We couldn't let that stand. But here we are, and you can see that almost no transactions having to do with crypto, or Bitcoin here specifically, are related to nefarious or bad illegal activities in any way. That's a fact. Which leads us to this article from Cointelegraph. Treasury official acknowledges most crypto transactions are legitimate, but still anticipates additional sanctions. Wally Adeyemo, whose name I probably butchered, but it is what it is, the Deputy Secretary of the United States Department of the Treasury, said the department would likely be enforcing more sanctions on companies involved in illicit transactions related to ransomware payments. Speaking at an online event hosted by the Center for a New American Security with former Treasury Secretary Jack Lew and Ambassador Paula Dobriansky, Adeyemo said the U.S. government would likely be dipping into its toolbox by employing sanctions when criminals threaten national security interests. He specifically mentioned crypto exchanges or mixers that are fundamentally in the business of furthering cybercriminals as possible targets. And here's a quote. Our view is that the vast majority of digital assets are being used for legitimate purposes, but for those that are primarily in the business of furthering criminal enterprises, we plan to use our tools to go after them. And that's a quote from Adeyemo, whose name again, I don't know how they'll say, whatever. But look, we can all get behind that, right? That's not surprising. I just wanted to highlight this because in 2021, from time to time, you still see politicians and people that are just no-coiners, anti-crypto, just driving this narrative, which is so bogus. And I think it's getting pushed upon, well, I mean, I'm hearing it too, and I'm more informed, and you are too, I'm sure, if you're listening to this channel. But it's intended to sway people that don't know really pretty much anything about crypto, so that hopefully, with that a broad public sentiment that it's bad, it would be continue to be suppressed to whatever degree. Well, that's such a bad way to approach this. It's such a bad take, and it's not in line with reality. And so we know that, and I'm just gonna be, like anytime it happens, it burns my biscuits, folks. It burns my biscuits, and I don't like my biscuits getting burned. So that's the reason that I'm calling it out. But it's still, frankly, it's just astonishing to me that this is something we have to discuss in 2021. At some point, so many people are going to understand that it's a bogus argument that these stupid politicians are going to stop saying this crap, and then we won't have to put up with it anymore. But that's pretty much where we're at right now. I'll go ahead and wrap up here, though. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. As always, I do love hearing from you, and when I don't hear from you, I wonder if you don't like me anymore. You don't want me to feel like that, do you? I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.